afternoon, America. Lily Spellman here. This just in. In the past hour, the House of Representatives has officially announced the impeachment of President Clinton. He faces trial early next year and possible removal from office by the U.S. Senate. When asked about possible resignation, have a look at the president's reaction.
No.
Well, there you have it, America. President Clinton vows to do good for the country until he's officially impeached and will continue working for the American people. Live in Washington, D.C., we have Alicia Galiski on the scene while Clinton addresses his impeachment. How's the field looking, Alicia?
Well, to be completely honest, Lily, it doesn't seem like Clinton's got a lot of people on his side today. I mean, there's not a lot of people here. But let's ask this young lady her opinion. Hi. What persuaded you to be here today?
Well, I'm just taking a break from running, but you're talking about Clinton, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you don't cheat on your wife, especially in the Oval Office. And you know what, Clinton, if you're watching, I've been practicing for this one. Bam! That's all we have to say today from Washington, D.C. Back to you, Lily.
Thanks, Alicia. Yes, that's true. Why, even in the newsroom, we have debates over who supports Clinton and who's against him. But now to Magda at the president's press conference to have a quick look at what he has to say.
Thank you, Lil. I'm here live in D.C. at the press conference with the president to get the inside scoop. Let's take a listen.
Obviously, being president isn't easy. Being president is like running a cemetery. You've got a lot of people under you and nobody's listening. I've done a lot of good, and I continue to work for the American people. The allegations are not true. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I have never had sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky. I've never had an affair with her. I love America, and I would never do anything to jeopardize this country's reputation. My years in office consisted only of budget surpluses and good vibes. United States exports to Canada and Mexico support more than 3 million American jobs. Thanks to my signing of the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, in December of 1993, U.S. trade with these key partners has unlocked opportunity for millions of Americans by supporting Made in America jobs and exports. We, the United States of America, hosted the International Olympics in 1996 in Atlanta, Georgia, providing a comfortable home for other nations and their athletes. By doing this, we created friendships above mere political alliances. Another example of thriving America begins on April 13, 1997, with a young man by the name of Eldrick Tiger Woods. Woods, whose father is an African American and mother is Thai American, became the first American of color to win the Masters at Augusta National Golf Club in December.
Excuse me, Mr. President. I'm Melissa Bradnick from Fox News. I have a question that I, along with my fellow Americans, would like the answer to. Yeah, your time in office was marked with various triumphs, but what about the not-so-glorious Oklahoma City bombing, for example? What have you done to protect the public from further hostility and other acts of terror?
Well, thank you kindly for your interruption. Yes, that day was tragic. America faced an attack like no other, an attack from the inside. On April 19, 1995, a truck bomb explosion outside the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, left 168 people dead and hundreds more injured. The blast was set off by an anti-government militant, Timothy McVeigh, who may be sentenced to death in later years, and the government is currently working on plans for future protection.
No, that wasn't really my...
So you get the gist. Anyways, back to you in the studio.
Thanks so much for the update, Magda. We'll be sure to follow up with the press conference later on. Well, America, President Clinton's got a point. I mean, a lot of positive events came from and occurred during his presidency, along with some negatives, which can be expected from a president who likes to get things done. Speaking of getting things done, let's take a look back on the good, the bad, and the ugly of Clinton's past 5 years in office. For some not as depressing or horrifying news, Bill Clinton successfully adopted Fleetwood Mac's 70s hit, Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow, to relate to baby boomers raised on this and other top 40 hits. The campaign played the song so often that the New York Times' Karen James referred to it as Clinton's endlessly replayed 1992 campaign theme. The song conveyed youthful optimism, emphasizing the contrast between Clinton and his generation older opponent, George H.W. Bush. Let's have a listen. Oh, I just love this song. Good evening, America. Lily Spellman here with some breaking news. President Clinton has voiced his request of bringing troops out of Somalia. He's officially declared that he will be scaling down American troop presence and is letting the United Nations take charge.
We're live here in Iraq, where, in retaliation for an alleged attempt to assassinate former President Bush, during an April visit to Kuwait, President Clinton has launched a missile strike against an Iraqi intelligence service building in Baghdad. Saddam Hussein Command Council vows to respond to the act of cowardly aggression. The events reinvigorate tensions between the U.S. and Iraq, lingering after the 1990 Gulf War, and hope for reconciliation between the two countries is slowly fading.
I'm here live in the suburbs of North Carolina as families are relieved to hear that family and medical leave has passed. This allows eligible employees of covered employers to take protected leave for family and medical emergencies. Upon returning, employment conditions are to remain under the same terms and conditions as if employees had not yet taken leave. This historic day will leave families as a little less on edge and a little more relieved. Back to you in the studio.
I'm here in Washington, D.C., where the president has just ordered 3 executive orders directing federal agencies to reduce their use of ozone-depleting materials, increase their use of alternative fueled vehicles, and purchase energy-efficient computers. It is evident that the president is really working hard to help the environment, as just last month, President Clinton and Vice President Gore held the Forest Conference in Oregon, which was a critical first step in developing comprehensive and balanced long-term policy to preserve and protect old-growth forests while balancing the needs of workers, businesses, and communities dependent on timber sales. Back to you, Lily. Thank you, Lily. I'm here in Washington, D.C., where President Clinton just witnessed the signing of a peace treaty and reconciliation between the Palestinian Liberation Organization leader Yasser Arafat and Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin.
We have some breaking news for you all today. President Clinton has signed a law requiring background checks on handgun buyers. This bill was heavily proposed by James S. Brady and Clinton, who felt that ownership of arms must be regulated. This has created a great uproar in the United States and will continue its rippling effect throughout the years.
I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, where Nancy Kerrigan was attacked by a metal baton-wielding assailant as she left the ice after a practice session in Detroit. In her absence, 1991 champion Tonya Harding captured the spotlight. However, today, the bizarre incident is no longer a mystery, as the assault accomplice Sean Eckert caved and told the FBI about the plot that was hatched with Harding's ex-husband Jeff Gillooly to take Kerrigan out of the picture. They must really have a cold heart. Pun intended. Get it? Because they're ice skaters.
Hello, America. President Bill Clinton has just signed Executive Order 12898, otherwise known as Federal Actions to Address Environmental Justice in Minority Populations and Low-Income Populations. This will focus federal attention on the environmental and human health conditions of minority and low-income populations with the goal of achieving environmental protection for all communities. In other news, Duran Duran is scheduled to perform live in New York City this coming Wednesday. As many may remember, back in September 1991, a military coup in Haiti overthrew their nation's first democratically elected president. President Bush has supported a series of economic sanctions against that regime. Now, President Clinton is continuing to threaten the Haitian rebels. And as of today, he's sending in 25,000 troops and 2 aircraft carriers. Before this plan, Clinton was trying to pressure the rebels to relinquish power. But when diplomacy failed, Clinton planned the invasion. You know America, mess with our democracy and we'll mess with you.
Good evening. We're live here in Vernonia, Oregon, where student James Acton refused to comply with the mandatory drug test policy of the Vernonia School District. The student and his defense claim said that test violates the Fourth Amendment, as search and seizure in public schools without probable cause is unconstitutional. The case was taken to the Supreme Court for further process of law, and it was decided today that drug testing is indeed constitutional. The school is facing no charges. Today, President Clinton announced that the Clinton-Gore administration has reached agreement with oil companies to protect sensitive coastline areas of Florida and Alaska from oil drilling. The president has been focusing on water life in recent times. Just last month, he issued an executive order to improve the quality, function, sustainable productivity, and distribution of U.S. aquatic resources for increased recreational fishing opportunities. Seems like he's looking for some good fishing opportunities for his buddies. Back to you in the studio!
Live in Vancouver, Canada, President Clinton and Russian President Boris Yeltsin today met for a global summit in which the two leaders proclaimed agreement over the best way to resolve their differences in Bosnia. They officially agreed upon sharp reductions in the two nations' nuclear arsenals.
This just in. Under President Bill Clinton, who had promised during his election campaign in 1992 to stop the ethnic cleansing in Bosnia, an ultimatum with NATO has been issued. It required the Serbs to withdraw their artillery from Sarajevo. Even though it took 3 years, today, November 1st, 1995, leaders of the warring factions traveled to the United States for peace talks at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. I know, and it wasn't only the vice president, but President Clinton, too. In other news, Toy Story, the first feature-length computer-animated film and the first theatrical film produced by Pixar, was released today. Disney is expecting the movie to be a huge hit worldwide, but in my opinion, how far can a movie about talking toys really go? Today marks a year since the song that has been sweeping the entire nation was released. The Macarena, a Spanish song written by Los Del Rio, has grabbed the attention of almost every American in the nation. Rumor has it, even President Clinton has been caught doing the popular dance that became a part of the American culture. Let's get this playing in the studio. Come on, everyone, join me and dance! Let's go!
Yes, Lily, to all those in need of welfare, you can now thank President Clinton for signing the Welfare Reform Bill today. Since 1993, 43 states have been granted waivers. Said waivers laid the foundation of the new welfare reform law by strengthening work requirements, time-limiting assistance, and demanding parental responsibility.
If you're on lunch break right now, you may want to walk away. In recent news, Mike Tyson has bitten Evander Holyfield's ear in the third round of their heavyweight rematch. The attack led to his disqualification from the match and suspension from boxing, and was the strangest chapter yet in the champion's roller coaster career. I mean, I guess he just thought Holyfield was irresistible.
Today, the whole world is mourning as Diana, Princess of Wales, died as a result of injuries sustained in a car crash in Pont de la Alma road tunnel here in Paris, France. Her boyfriend, Dodi Fayed, and driver of a Mercedes-Benz W140, Henry Paul, were pronounced dead at the scene. The bodyguard of Diana and Dodi, Trevor Rees-Jones, was the only survivor. Diana was a perfect example of what a true leader should be, inspiring the whole world to look beyond the will to princess. President Clinton could probably learn a thing or two from all that the Princess of the People accomplished throughout her short life.
Hi America, Lily Spellman here with live footage of Clinton's speech to Congress. Let's have a look at his take on these environmental issues.
As we protect our environment, we must invest in the environmental technologies of the future which will create jobs. This year, we will fight for a revitalized Clean Water Act and a Safe Drinking Water Act. not to mention a reformed Superfund program. We promise to promote environmentally sustainable economic growth.
Here we are on December 16th, 1998 in Washington, D.C., where President Bill Clinton just ordered a 3-day bombing attack against Iraq after Saddam Hussein refused to cooperate with the United Nations weapons inspectors. There is a reasonable concern that he is hiding weapons of mass destruction. He emphasized that this decision to launch airstrikes was critical for America's vital interest in the security of the world.
That concludes our look back on Bill Clinton's presidency. As you can see, much good came out of his time in office. In fact, Clinton appointed a number of women and minorities to top government posts, including Janet Reno, the first female U.S. Attorney General, and Madeleine Albright, the first female U.S. Secretary of State. However, along with the good, there is always some bad, and Clinton's time as president is no exception to the norm. He has made history and promises to continue to work for the American people, despite his accusation and possible impeachment. Whether you're a fan of Clinton or agree with our young woman in the beginning of this segment, as Americans, we must work together, and Clinton has definitely put his best foot forward for our people. Thank you, and good night.
What's happening?
Alright. Trying to get it to focus. Stop being anxious.
Wait, don't stop it. I'll just cut this part.
Okay.
And action.
Alright, wait. Alright. Ready? Are we good?
Yes.
Alright. Today, President
Holy shit.
That was a little too loud.
No, it was good.
Today, President Clinton announced that
Go! Go. I'm shivering. Gotta get this show on the road.
Oops.
All over your body. It's crazy to take off. Stop. You can't have close-ups. I'm the president.